All right, so you're getting ready for some big interviews.
Big interviews.
And you want to make sure you can tackle those tricky behavioral questions.
Yes.
You know, the ones,
Mm-hmm.
tell me about a time when...
Yeah, those are the tough ones.
Yeah, those are the tough ones.
Yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of sources here to help us out.
Awesome.
We've got interview tips, audio,
Oh, wow.
notes on body language,
Nice.
even a For Dummies book.
A classic.
A classic excerpt. So we are ready to tackle this.
I like it. Yeah, we're leaving no stone unturned.
No stone unturned.
All right.
So
Let's get into it.
what's really interesting about these kinds of questions?
Well, what's interesting is hiring managers are really trying to get a glimpse into how you've handled real-world situations.
Okay.
They want to see your skills in action,
Got it.
not just hear you list them off on a piece of paper.
That makes sense.
You know?
So how do we actually convince them that we're the right person for the job?
Well, that's where the STAR method comes in.
Okay, the STAR method.
Yeah, it's kind of like your secret weapon
Okay.
for structuring your answers and making sure you stand out
I like it.
from all the other candidates.
So like we're building a mini success story for each question.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the beauty of the STAR method is that it's not just some random storytelling technique.
Mm-hmm.
The acronym stands for situation,
Okay.
task, action, and result.
Gotcha. So all of those together.
Yeah, and each part helps you build this narrative
Okay.
that showcases your skills and how you've applied them
Awesome.
to achieve positive outcomes.
So how does this actually work in practice?
So it's really like setting the stage for a play.
Right.
First, you describe the situation,
Okay.
and this sets the context and gives the interviewer a clear understanding of what scenario you are facing.
Okay.
You're kind of painting a picture of the scene.
I like it.
So, for example, if the question is, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer,
Okay.
the situation might be working retail during the holiday rush, when a customer was upset about a long line.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay. So we've set the scene.
you've set the scene perfectly.
Okay. Perfect.
Now you move on to the task.
Okay. The task.
What was your specific responsibility in that situation?
Right.
What were you trying to achieve?
So in that retail example, my task was to de-escalate the situation
Yes,
and find a solution for that frustrated customer.
exactly. Or just maintain a positive attitude amidst all the chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where you start to connect your skills to the story.
Okay.
Now comes the action,
Okay.
the most important part.
Right, the action.
This is where you describe the specific steps you took to address the situation.
So I would explain how I actively listened to the customer's concerns,
Yeah.
offered them a sincere apology,
Great.
and explained the steps I was taking to address the situation.
Exactly.
I could even talk about how I found a similar product,
Mm.
or maybe offered them a discount
Yes.
to turn that frown upside down. Right, you're showing, not just telling.
Okay.
And finally, you wrap it up with the result.
The result.
What was the outcome of your actions?
Did you resolve the customer's issue?
Exactly.
Did you receive positive feedback from your manager? And did you learn anything from the experience that you could apply to future situations?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because you're not just recounting a past event,
Hmm.
you're actually growing and developing your skills.
So by using the STAR method, we're not just answering the question.
Right.
We're telling a compelling story
Exactly.
that highlights our problem-solving skills,
Yes.
our customer service skills, or whatever the question's trying to assess.
And this is why the STAR method is so effective.
Right.
You know, hiring managers are bombarded with resumes and interviews,
Mm-hmm.
but a well-told STAR story can really make you stand out.
Right. So it's like taking those bullet points on our resume
Yes.
and bringing them to life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It makes it
yeah.
more memorable.
Okay, so let's get practical here. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed just thinking about all the potential stories I could tell.
Yeah.
How do I choose the right ones?
So one of the things we found in your notes is this idea of focusing on your greatest hits.
Okay, greatest hits. I like that.
Yeah, these are the experiences where you really knocked it out of the park,
Mm-hmm.
achieved something impressive,
Right.
and ideally have some quantifiable results to back it up.
Okay, so like that time I went above and beyond for a customer and ended up getting a thank you email from their CEO.
Exactly. That's a STAR story waiting to happen.
Okay,
But it's got to relate to the job, right?
it's got to relate to the job.
You don't want to be telling stories
Okay,
that have nothing to do with what you're interviewing for.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
So before I even start brainstorming stories,
Yes.
I need to take a look at that job description.
Absolutely.
What are the key skills and qualifications they're looking for?
Mhm.
And then try to match my greatest hits to those requirements.
Exactly. It's like customizing your stories.
To each specific interview.
So just like I would tailor my resume.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, but how do I make sure my story actually hits the mark?
Well, let's walk through a quick example
Yeah.
using one of your sources.
Right.
Remember your work on the rainwater harvesting system?
Oh, yeah. I'm really proud of that project.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's use that as our star story practice round.
Okay, I like it.
First, the situation.
Okay.
You were working on a project for a new office complex, and the company was really focused on sustainability.
Right, and the goal was to implement this rainwater harvesting system to reduce their reliance on municipal water,
Okay.
which was a big deal for their eco-friendly image.
Great situation setup.
Okay.
Now, what was your specific task on the project?
I was part of the design team,
Okay.
but my main focus was on the implementation
All right.
and making sure that system integrated seamlessly with the building's existing plumbing,
Okay.
which was challenging because we were working within the constraints of a pre-existing structure and had to coordinate with different contractors.
Excellent. You're already weaving in those problem-solving skills
Okay.
and showing you can handle complex situations.
Okay.
What about the action? What did you actually do to make this system a reality?
Well, I spent a lot of time collaborating with the architects and the plumbing team
Okay.
to make sure the design was both functional and efficient. We had to get creative
Yeah.
to make sure that the system could handle the volume of rainwater
Right.
and that it wouldn't disrupt the building's regular water supply.
Okay, so teamwork and technical expertise are coming through.
Yes.
What else?
I also created detailed documentation and led training sessions for the building's maintenance staff
Nice.
to ensure they knew how to operate and maintain the system.
Very good.
Yeah, it was important to me that everything worked smoothly even after we left the project.
Great. That shows initiative and attention to detail.
Go on.
You're really hitting those key points they're looking for.
Okay.
Now for the grand finale. What was the result of all your hard work?
The system was a huge success.
Okay, tell me more.
Not only did it significantly reduce the building's reliance on municipal water,
Great.
saving them money and aligning perfectly with their sustainability goals.
Yes.
But we also got some great press coverage
Nice.
for the project,
Awesome.
and the client was thrilled.
Perfect.
And you even quantified the results with the reduction in water usage
Yes.
and the positive press coverage. You're not just saying it was successful,
Well-
you're backing it up with tangible evidence.
And I'm feeling more confident already.
You should?
Just thinking about how to tell this story in an interview.
That's the point.
It's like having a secret weapon against those, tell me about a time when, questions.
It is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
And the more you practice telling your star stories, the more natural and confident you'll sound.
Yeah, that makes sense. Practice makes perfect.
It really does. And one other really important benefit of preparing with the STAR method
Oh, there's more.
is that it can actually help reduce anxiety during interviews.
That's something we saw in the research, too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Knowing you have a structured approach to answering those sometimes vague behavioral questions can help you feel much more prepared and less flustered.
It's like having a mental checklist
Exactly.
that keeps you on track.
Yes. And it takes some of the pressure off knowing you have a solid plan going in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But the STAR method's more than just a way to impress interviewers, right?
Absolutely.
One of my notes mentioned that these storytelling skills are valuable even beyond the interview room.
Yes. The ability to communicate clearly and concisely is essential in all sorts of situations. Think
Right.
about presentations,
No.
meetings, even just explaining something to a friend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So it's not just an interview trick. It's like learning a new language.
It is the language of impactful communication.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to add that to their skill set?
Exactly. And once you start thinking about things in terms of stories, you might be surprised how often the STAR structure pops up naturally.
Interesting.
It's a really versatile framework.
So to recap, the STAR method is a way to structure our answers to behavioral interview questions.
Yes.
Using a clear and concise narrative that helps us showcase our skills and experience by telling a story with a situation,
Yes.
task, action, and result.
You got it.
And by preparing our STAR stories in advance, we'll not only impress interviewers, but we'll also feel more confident and prepared.
Absolutely.
Going into those interviews, it's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
It's like having a cheat sheet for success, but instead of writing down the answers, we're using the STAR method to organize our thoughts and tell stories that highlight our best quality.
Precisely.
Now, before we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to ponder. Can you think of a time when you maybe didn't achieve the desired result,
Okay.
but you learned something valuable from the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Could you turn that into a star story?
That's a great challenge.
It's about turning a potential weakness into a strength
Right.
by showing self-awareness,
Yeah.
resilience, and a willingness to learn from our mistakes.
It's all about framing your experiences in a way that highlights your growth and development.
I think we've given you everything you need to master the STAR method and rock those interviews.
We have. Go out there and shine.
It definitely takes some of the pressure off,
It does.
knowing you have a solid plan
Right.
going in.
Yeah,
But the STAR method's more than just a way to impress interviewers, right?
absolutely.
One of my notes mentioned that these storytelling skills are valuable even beyond the interview room.
Yes. The ability to communicate clearly and concisely
Okay.
is essential in all sorts of situations.
Hmm.
Think about presentations, meetings, even just explaining something to a friend.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
So it's not just an interview trick.
It's not.
It's like learning a new language.
It is. The language of impactful communication.
Right. And who wouldn't want to add that to their skill set?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
once you start thinking about things in terms of stories, you might be surprised at how often the star structure pops up naturally.
Interesting.
It's a really versatile framework.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to recap,
Right.
the STAR method is a way to structure our answers to behavioral interview questions.
Yes.
Using a clear and concise narrative,
Mm-hmm.
it helps us showcase our skills and experience by telling a story with a situation,
Exact.
task, action, and result.
You got it.
And by preparing our STAR stories in advance, we'll not only impress interviewers,
Right.
but we'll also feel more confident and prepared going into those interviews.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
It's like having a cheat sheet for success.
Yeah.
But instead of writing down the answers, we're using the STAR method to organize our thoughts and tell stories that highlight our best qualities.
Precisely.
Now, before we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to ponder.
Okay. Sit here.
Can you think of a time when you maybe didn't achieve the desired result,
Mm-hmm.
but you learned something valuable from the experience?
Oh, yeah.
Could you turn that into a STAR story?
That's a great challenge.
It's about turning a potential weakness into a strength
Exactly.
by showing self-awareness,
Yes.
resilience, and a willingness to learn from our mistakes.
It's all about framing your experiences in a way that highlights your growth and development.
Well, I think we've given you everything you need to master the STAR method and rock those interviews.
We have.
Go out there and shine.
Go get them. It's all about framing your experiences in a way that highlights your growth and development.
Well, I think we've given you everything you need to master the STAR method
I think so too.
and rock those interviews.
Yeah.
Go out there and shine.
Go get them.